So in the words of Mark Twain, you can't depend on your eyes when your imagination is out of focus. So let's give our imagination some attention this morning as we join in consciousness thousands across the land in our Unity Affirmation for June, which is, my imagination brings possibilities to life. My imagination brings possibilities to life. Say this with me. My imagination brings possibilities to life. So what possibilities would you like to see come alive? Well, when we get back into our building, we'll do some visioning for our church and imagining and listening to Spirit to see what good things are next for our community. And I'm excited about that. Are you excited about that? Yeah, I see some hands waving. So our imagination, calling that forth, amplifying it for possibilities. So possibility is what we're exploring these next few weeks in our series, Keys to the Kingdom, an advanced course in prosperity consciousness building from the book by David Owen Ritz. So how many of you taken this class, Keys to the Kingdom? Anybody? What about any other prosperity classes? I see some lights flashing and a lot of hands going up. Good. How many of you found that these prosperity teachings have changed your life for the better? Yeah, lots of lights. I see lights flashing. Me too. Well, I look forward to the time when we can share our stories about this, and I'll be sharing some of mine. But I'd like to start just by sharing my experience of my very first prosperity class that changed my life. And it was about, I want to say 25 years ago or so. And I went to this prosperity class because I knew there had to be more to life than struggle. And I was a single parent. I was recently laid off. And I didn't even think I could afford the registration for the class. And I was scared. You know, I had 2 kids I had to take care of. But I went to the class and I stayed. And as I began learning and working this prosperity principles, some amazing things came into my life. A permanent job was one. A wonderful house to rent for my kids and I. I got in shape, began a new relationship, and someone gave me a vacuum cleaner. I cleaned out my closet recently and I found this prosperity book where I'd written a list of everything, and there was more, everything that had happened during this first prosperity class. So it was all about being a giver to life, tithing time, talent, and treasure, praying, studying, doing the inner work, stretching. And as you may know, building a prosperity consciousness requires work. Mental work, emotional work, and spiritual work. It is a process. And we're so used to, instant gratification and the microwave, it's done in 30 seconds. But building a prosperity consciousness takes patience and perseverance and practice. Because there's old beliefs of lack and limitation to release, so we can make room for a greater sense of worthiness, plenty, gratitude. What Jesus meant when he said it is the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. So I want to share that the biggest blessing from that class, that first class that impacted my mind and my life so much, was not the outer goodies, the increased finances and outer good things, although those were pretty nice. But the biggest blessing was my realization that I could go to God first, change my thinking, and have a new, improved, drastically improved experience of life. So that is my hope for all of us here today, that as we work these prosperity principles these next few weeks, that each of us has a deeper realization, increased faith and trust as God as source. God as source. There are many channels through which our good can come, but God is the one true source. And to know that at depth, no matter what the news is saying or the talking heads with dire predictions, God as source, no matter what facts may be showing up in the material world. We know that facts are based on situations, and situations can change, but the truth never changes. The truth that each one of us is born with sacred worth, and abundance is our natural state. So let that sink in. Abundance is my natural state. Abundance is my natural state. Say this with me. Abundance is my natural state. Just gonna breathe into that. So Jesus conveyed this message in the 12th chapter of Luke, and I love this reminder. Therefore, I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat, or about your body, what you will wear. Life is more than food, and the body more than clothes. In other words, don't worry about the material stuff. Don't fret about your good. And Jesus is talking to people just like you and me who were concerned about, where their good is going to come from. He says, consider the ravens. They do not sow or reap. They have no storeroom or barn, yet God feeds them. And how much more valuable are you than birds? Abundance. Abundance is natural. You are divine creation. The other day I was at an outdoor coffee shop and I noticed two birds, and they were pecking at crumbs, but as I watched a little bit more, one bird was pecking up the crumbs and putting them in the mouth of the other bird. I thought, wow, I have never seen that before. Abundance is natural. And Jesus continues, consider how the lilies grow. They do not labor or spin. Yet I tell you, not even Solomon in all his splendor was dressed like one of those. If that is how God clothes the grass of the fields, which is here today and gone tomorrow, and thrown into the fire, how much more will he clothe you, O ye of little faith? So I love this message because he's telling us, wake up, don't you get it? The birds know, the flowers know, and please, please know. God as source always provides for all of his creations. God as source always provides for you. And so in this passage, he also reminds us that God knows what we need. And our job is to seek first the kingdom, and then all these things will be added. So what does that mean? We may be tempted, especially when fear comes up, to grab in the outside, to seek first in the outside, and try to get. But he's reminding us to seek first the kingdom. Where is the kingdom? What is the kingdom? It's within. It's at hand. It's right here, right now. It's that place within of knowing that God is source, and we live in an abundant universe. So prosperity is truly an inside job, as Reverend Jackie so eloquently shared with us last week. And it's not about the getting, but about the God-ing. It's who we become as a result of living in the flow of God's infinite good and living from our true divine nature as a giver to life. And as we give, so shall we receive. So prosperity is one of my favorite teachings to come back to, because no matter how much we know, how long we've been in unity or new thought, no matter how much we know or how much we think we know, there's always more to learn, because we're always growing. The world is always changing. We're growing and changing. And so how do we work these principles now in 2021? That's what we're going to explore. So what is your definition of prosperity? And maybe it's changed since the last time you thought about it, or read a book, or took a class. So when we work with these prosperity principles, we're asked to look at our values. You know, what is important? What's important now? What do you value? And what are you grateful for now that's in your life that you value? The gratitude is a magnet. And then what do you value that is not in your life right now, but that you long for and that you would like to add? So these are some important questions we can sit with in our prayer and meditation time this week. How do we know what we value? Well, one way is we can look at how we spend our time, our energy, our finances, and our attention, and especially our prominent thoughts. What we give our energy to can give us a clue about what we value. So what is your definition of prosperity? The Keys to the Kingdom defines prosperity as this: your true abundance is the power to satisfy your needs and make your dreams come true. And not just with money, but in all areas of life, with happiness, health, and well-being. I have heard that contentment is the greatest wealth. So with well-being, with career and vocation and creative expression that lights you up and gives you meaning and joy and purpose, where you just lose a sense of time because you're so in the moment with doing what you love. Prosperity in the area of relationships, with family, with friends, with socially, with love relationships, having relationships that are nurturing, satisfying, fun, that bring out aspects of yourself that maybe you didn't see before, that are joyous. And prosperity also in the area of finances, having the freedom and flow to live where you want to live, do what you want to do, and have what you need so you can be who you came here to be, as a unique, unrepeatable expression of God. Prosperity also includes spiritual growth and awareness and satisfaction in life. That's one way I define prosperity, is at the end of the day when I put my head on the pillow, do I have a smile on my face and gratitude in my heart that this has been a great day? So I invite you to work with your understanding and definition of prosperity. So for the next 6 weeks in our Keys to the Kingdom series, I invite you to join me in using our first key to the kingdom, which is this: make a commitment. Make a commitment to being more of a giver to life in 3 areas. Whatever you're doing now, the invitation is to turn it up a notch. And I'm going to be doing this with you too, so I want to hear your stories. So the first area to be more of a giver to life is the area of time. Time given to your own spiritual growth, with time in prayer, meditation, and spiritual study. Expand on what you're doing now. If you do 5 minutes, do 10. If you do 10, do 20. Wherever you're at with your prayer and meditation or study time, expand just beyond your comfort zone and see it as an investment in deepening your relationship with God, seeking first the kingdom. So time, I hear people often say, I don't have the time. But then, do we have the time to scroll on Facebook for 3 hours? So see how it comes back to choices, and what do we value, and what are we really looking for in that scrolling time? Maybe it's connection. How about giving that connection time? Setting that aside with the divine. So giving in time to yourself, your own spiritual study. The second area is talent. Giving of your talents for a period of time each week, voluntarily serving in some way that has personal meaning for you. Not as a have to, but a get to. So I know each and every one of you has talents, multiple talents. You know, whether it's baking or making something, singing, gardening, sharing your sense of humor. Maybe you're a people person and you just make people feel welcome. Maybe you love books and reading and writing, whatever it is. Multiple talents, a creative problem solver, whatever it is. There is a place for you to serve, to share that talent. And some suggestions are, here at church, when we get back into the building, we will need some helping hands and hearts for the many tasks. As those of you who attended before we were in the parking lot and on Zoom, remember we have a need for ushers, greeters, setting up the altar, bringing flowers, setting up and taking down, and the PowerPoint and other things. It really does take a village to do Sunday service. Also, another area you can consider is a family member, a neighbor, or a shut-in. You know, someone who doesn't get out much, to read to them, or sing with them, garden, walk the dog, mow the lawn. I had this wonderful neighbor who, when he mowed his lawn, he would just come over and mow my lawn. I would hear the mower outside. Oh, oh, bless you, Charlie. I never asked him, and he never asked me. He just did it. What a blessing. Or sharing your talent with volunteering for a cause that is close to your heart. One that would feel really good to serve in. I'm always amazed when I see creative ways to do this. Driving here to church today, the route I come, I see these signs about buy a cheesecake or a key lime pie. The donations go to veterans with PTSD. I thought, wow, that is so creative. So time for your spiritual growth, sharing your talent with others. And the third area is treasure. To stretch in this area too with the giving of our finances, knowing that money is energy. Some people just really have an ease with this, and some you may feel a contraction. But know that money is energy. Cash flow means to flow, being in that circulating stream of good. So the invitation is, whatever you're giving monetarily to now, to the places or place where you receive your spiritual food, to give a little bit more, to live a little bit more, and giving in faith. And I just want to mention also that I am so grateful. The board is grateful for all of you who have given and do give so generously to this church that has kept this ministry active and alive over 2020 and now and before. But especially in this time that we've all been through, when many small churches have closed their doors. So know that you are a vital part of this ministry's success and continued success when you share your time, your talent, and your treasure. So I invite us just to take a breath and just notice, which one of these seems easy? Which one brings up resistance? Just observe. And notice that resistance is usually a sign of an area that is asking to be healed, asking for an area to grow in. It's usually an area that's ripe to grow in. We remember that saying, if you do what you always done, you'll get what you always got. So, living into a new level of awareness and greater faith, we will always be asked to stretch beyond our comfort zone. So even if you feel a little nervous about this, who's up for the challenge? I want to see your lights or waving. I see some hands, I see some lights. Wow, look at all those. Wonderful. Stretching your giving of time, talent, and treasure these next few weeks. Yeah, me too. And just a word about commitment. Why is the first key about commitment? Why is that important? Well, as we do this, we'll be building a powerful new consciousness of trust in God's rich abundance. And this is cumulative. The more we do it, the easier it gets, the more our faith gets stronger like a muscle. And the more we move out of fear from a giving or taking consciousness and into a giving as receiving consciousness, where we discover more of our own spiritual nature and abundance as our natural state. My imagination brings possibilities to life, and so does yours. So let us move now to our time of meditation, where if you're comfortable, I invite you to close your eyes and take some nice, slow, deep breaths. Just setting aside anything you don't need right now. Closing out the outer world and turning within, where God is always already. And opening our consciousness, our minds and hearts just a little bit more to the infinite and inexhaustible presence of good right here, right now. Really allowing ourselves to steep and rest in the source of that good. God is the source of my good. You may wish to repeat these affirmations silently or aloud to yourself. God is the source of my good. God is the source of my supply. God is the source of my health. God is the source of my happiness. God is the source of my good. God is the source of my good. So let us pause for a few moments now in the silence. So as we bring our attention back to this time, this place, let us return with increased awareness of God's good in every facet of our lives, knowing we are divinely supported with each step. Our faith is great, our arms are open, and our hearts are ready, and so it is. Thank you, God.